What is up, Everyday Athlete Podcast Network listeners? This is a fireside chat that is impromptu. I have Santino Williams who is joining me because this stuff happens and guests miss their invitations, and this is all a part of life. So we normally would do an intro. I would mention what Santino does and all of this stuff, but instead we're just going to bullshit with each other, and you're going to enjoy it for somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour. What's up, dude?
Hanging in there, hanging in there. How about you?
I'm doing okay. I had a great conversation with Evan Birch, who co-hosts Enduring Minds with me earlier today, and you and I talked earlier today too. And I had mentioned to you like this whole idea of doing like office hours, where we're literally just chatting and not doing what we're doing right now, recording, podcasting, all that stuff. And I talked to Evan for like 45 minutes, dude, and it was just fun. It was just a fun conversation.
For sure. No, totally. And I think that's kind of the thing like we were talking about before. I think that's a component that kind of gets lost in all of this social media shuffle is we're supposed to be having fun. It's supposed to be less me or you or whoever talking at the audience. It's supposed to be a dialogue. So I love this concept. I love that we're introducing it. And I think the more that people kind of see what's up, whether they want to be in front of the camera like this or just have it be a kind of behind the scenes type thing that might get recapped later. But I think more people are going to want to participate in this because it's the kind of thing it's very much needed right now.
Yeah, dude. Like I say this all the time. I've been heavily influenced by Dan Le Batard, the Dan Le Batard Show, and South Beach Sessions, which is just a phenomenal podcast. And the way he conducts it, though, is like you feel you're at the table next to him and his guests, so you're like eavesdropping a little bit. And so when somebody gives an answer, he's not a rude interrupter, but like as somebody saying something that resonates with him, he'll be like, oh, wait a minute, before you go any further, I want to add this into it, right? And it becomes a conversation, which is what these things are supposed to be.
Absolutely. No, 100%. I'm a huge Dan Le Batard fan myself. We actually have, I'm sure I've told you before, obviously the art connection, his brother, who unfortunately passed away. But we have several pieces of work from his brother, David Le Batard, Lebo. All of you art fans out there, look him. Honestly, if you liked the Dan Le Batard Show, his brother did all the design for, it's just fantastic stuff.
It's super dope, the integration. Like, Dan will tell you, like we're best friends. Dan will tell you. Dan has said on the show, right, like, he got his dad involved in the show. He got his brother involved in the show. Like it was really, truly like family style stuff to do that. And so to see, his brother's artwork and thumbprint on the logos and the studios that they had, or maybe still have with all the logos behind them, it's just super cool, man.
Oh no, absolutely. 100%. And his dad just added a whole other element, especially what was the one with him and Bomani Jones and his dad? Why can't I think of it now on ESPN?
Oh, I was going to say Around the Horn, but that wasn't it. But it would be Bomani, Dan, and his father. Was his dad's name, was his nickname Chucho?
I think it was. Yeah, I think so.
His nickname was Chucho. And then every now and again, Bomani would rotate out. And so you'd have Mina Kimes come in there or Sarah Spain come in there. And his dad would always do the slick hand, right? Like he'd be like, oh, you got me. And he'd go to shake his hand and be like, oh, like the old man.
Oh, yeah. Just love it. Back when ESPN was still fun, they sure had a good thing going and they ruined it, didn't they?
Yeah, they really did. Like, do you remember? I'm sure you remember. I don't even know why I'm asking it in this manner, but way back when ESPN's Sports Center would come on, and because they didn't have all of this programming, they would run Sports Center from like 11 p.m. to like 4 a.m. when they would lead into the next day's news in a way. Do you remember that?
Oh, of course. Yeah. No, it was, and you'd kind of. Especially if there were times when I'd work kind of late at night or you'd come home and you'd start watching. You didn't realize there'd be a lot of overlap. They'd be repeating a lot of things, especially if it was a slower news day. But there was something so fun about that. There really was. There was that level of familiarity where you kind of And obviously, nowadays when you talk about parasocial relationships, things like that, but you did kind of feel like you knew the Sports Center crew, as it were.
Dude, I would I say this to this day to Lori mostly, but like Linda Cohn went to SUNY Oswego. Mike Tirico went to Syracuse, which was down the street from the college I went to, which was Oswego.
Yeah.
There are a number of different sportscasters, desk reporters that went to SUNY Oswego. It's like our claim to fame up there because there's really not much else coming out of that area. And so, like, our claim to fame is, Linda Cohn is an alumni of SUNY Oswego.
Oh shit! No, that's super cool. I mean, I went to a fly-by-night, one of the colleges they advertise on TV for my BA, and then I went back to Cal State East Bay, and like a handful of people that just heard that are like, "Oh shit, Cal State East Bay!" But our claim to fame, we had a walk-on that ended up actually playing for the Dodgers. Alex Vesia, he won several World Series, so
Yes, he
that's
did.
probably the most famous alum from Cal State East Bay. But
Dude, this is how my brain works. So you mentioned the Dodgers. Right away, I go to Kike Hernandez. Right away, I go to Puerto Rico. Right away, I'm like, can we field an all Puerto Rican team? And we'll include Cubans because your culture is Cuban. Like, could we field an all Cuban Puerto Rican team off the top of our heads? So, like, immediately, Yadier Molina is the catcher.
yes.
Immediately, Lindor is the shortstop.
Yes.
And then where do we fill in the rest? Like, can we bring in old guys? Like, does Beltran still make the team?
I think, okay, no, for sure. If we're bringing in old guys, this should be a layup. So let's think about this for a second.
Well, you have Beltran and Clemente.
100%, 100%. I'm on pitchers and I'm struggling already. I'm trying to think.
We have was Louis Tiant Cuban?
Might have been.
His dad played in the Negro Leagues. That I know for sure.
Yeah.
I thought Louis Tiant was Cuban.
You might be right. You have
El Duque? Sure. El Duque, Orlando.
El Duque, for sure.
Contreras, the other Yankee.
Okay. So actually, not going to have trouble filling out a rotation here at all.
Edgar Martinez is our DH.
Perfect. Come on now.
Although you have Manny and Big Papi that could fill the roles too. Oh no, Manny. They're both Dominican. They're not.
Yeah, they're both Dominican, I think, aren't they?
Yeah.
Big Papi is for sure. I'm pretty sure Manny is as well.
Yasiel Puig. Does he make the team?
Where are you going to put him though? That's the whole thing.
I don't care. I just want his attitude.
Well, if you've already got I guess Clemente is would have been versatile enough that you could plug him into wherever in the outlet. Honestly, I wouldn't put Puig in center. I'd be comfortable enough putting Puig in left.
We gotta have Beltran as in center.
That's true. Okay, so it's
we right now we need a third baseman, a second baseman, and a first baseman.
Well, wait, where are we putting Kike? Because he can play second.
Oh, that's right. He could play second.
Yeah.
He was my super utility.
Okay, for sure.
Because he plays everywhere.
He plays everywhere. Yeah, absolutely. There was that one season he even pitched. He played every position except catcher one season, which they should have just if it was a garbage time game, they should have just let him do it just to say he did it. But
do you ever play the Immaculate Grid?
I haven't played it in a while, but I used to. The thing is, I get very frustrated. I'll get 8 out of 9, and then that 9th one, if I'm stuck on it too long, I'll just throw whoever in there, and then it pisses me off. So.
I always hold one of those guys back. Like I remember Gary Carter played third base for the Mets one year, like in one of those extra inning bullshit games, right?
Yeah.
And so whenever they're played third base and New York Mets, I'm always like Gary Carter because it's the one game. And you're going to get a super low score because most people are going to put somebody else in there.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, 99% of people are going to put
David Wright.
I was going to say David Wright, but I thought I'd be showing my age with that. So.
Hojo goes in there.
There we go.
Is our relief pitcher, our oldest Chapman, Cuban, right? He's Cuban, right?
He's Cuban for sure, yeah. Yeah, gotta be, because I'm trying to think who else.
By the way, the show that Dan and his dad were on with Bomani Jones was highly questionable.
Highly questionable. Thank you. Yes.
Sí or no? I can't believe we don't have a first baseman or a third baseman at this point for this all Puerto Rican Cuban team. We might have to bring.
And it's going to be somebody obvious too. And it's
Yeah,
going to
for sure, dude. By the way, did you know that there were only 6 now with Beltran? Only 6 Puerto Ricans in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
I find that incredibly hard to believe, but
it's wild, right? Like Lindor and Yadier Molina, when they get in, will be 7 and 8.
Yeah,
easily,
for sure.
But it's wild, dude. It was, oh my goodness, I'm gonna blank. Orlando Cepeda.
Okay, for sure.
Edgar Martinez, Beltran, Clemente. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I forgot who the other 2 were already. That's how crazy it is, dude. Like, there's only 6 Puerto Ricans that have made the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's wild.
I mean, that just doesn't seem right when you.
It makes me think that there's less Cubans then too.
There's got to be. There's got to be. I can't even think of Minnie Minoso. That's the only Cuban I can think of, and he was kind of brought over from the Negro Leagues Hall of Fame.
Yeah. By the way, we forgot Yoenis Cespedes.
Where are you going to plug him in, though?
I don't care. I just want him in his yellow forearm with the yellow forearm sleeve and cracking balls. I mean, bro, he played for the A's and the Mets. He has to be on the team. Bay Area, sure. New York City.
Honestly, he was Puig before Puig hit the scene. That was the whole thing. It was, I don't think physically he wasn't quite on the same level as Puig, but he was a bit more coachable, and that's. You don't want to venture off into those respectability politics waters too much, but goddamn, Puig, if he could have just chilled a little bit, that dude would have been elite. Like, it's frustrating to me when I really stop and think about that. Probably first month when he was on the scene, what was that, 2015, 2016, something like around. Nobody had ever seen some shit like that before. It was just, he was automatic every at bat, and he's just like gunning people, from 300 feet out to home. Like, what is this? Talented. Oh yeah.
Do you remember the spring training when Cespedes showed up to Port St. Lucie where the Mets train on horseback?
I do remember that. Yes. Was that his first year with the Mets?
I think it was his first year with the Mets, because then the next day he showed up in like this Lambo that was like neon green, just totally showing out. Like, the front office was like, what are we supposed to do with this?
No, and I mean, and here's the thing. Okay, I was always a fan of the whole like let the kids play thing, but it was so wild how scandalous that was back in the day. Whereas, and for whatever reason, not to shit on him, I don't care for his team, and he's questionable himself just in terms of some of the performance enhancing substances he's been in trouble for. But when Tatis Jr. came on the scene, now all of a sudden we're totally fine with it. And it's like, wait, why was Cespedes a problem? Why was Puig a problem? Why was, all fucking Joey Bats? He was a bit of a douche, but I mean, come on.
Honestly though, dude, like hands down, in my opinion, not only the greatest pressure home run, but bat flip of all time.
Are you kidding me?
Like, I don't think it's close. Like, it's one thing to hit that home run, but it's totally different when you add the bat flip to it too.
It was the baseball equivalent of Allen Iverson stepping over Ty Lue. Yes! That's exactly what it was. It was so fucking beautifully disrespectful that it was just...
I mean, Odor showed him what I think the next season when he clocked him in the face.
Yeah.
Who was the guy in the White Sox that fought the dude on the Indians and got knocked the fuck out? I mean, it was like a scene right out of Friday when
was it Tim Anderson?
Yes.
Oh my God.
like, dude, you didn't grow up boxing. You grew up playing baseball.
Yeah.
Like, don't put your fists up. Like, just be like, it's cool. I'm out. Like, I got it.
Yeah. Yeah, there comes a point where it's less embarrassing to just be like, yo, my bad. Save face that way than it is to get fucking smacked upside your head. And
he got laid out. Like, he was out on the ground like if it was in a boxing ring.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that was like something out of those fucking World Star videos from back in the day.
He looked like Trevor Burbick when Tyson hit him.
Right?
Burbick looked like a deer who just put on ice skates to go across the pond when Tyson hit him. He was slipping and sliding everywhere.
Yeah, no, that was, and that's the thing. Tyson, as a dude, his legacy not the best, but Jesus Christ, come on. Some of his knockouts were just, and granted, maybe it was just kind of right place, right time for us, because that was sort of boxing's kind of last hurrah.
It was last heyday, yes.
But
sure.
Jesus Christ, I'm trying to think of some of the others. Tyson, he just
Michael Spinks.
Yes.
When Michael Spinks goes through the ropes in his head, like his eyeballs they're not focused on anything.
No. That was really, and granted, they obviously needed to put, kind of more safety measures in place, but that was still kind of when boxing was at least a little bit the wild, wild west, where dudes were getting their brains scrambled in some of these fights. Do
you realize that we have just created our own highly questionable, we're just talking sports all over the place, because it just made me think of when you said dudes were just pounding the shit out of each other. You remember I think Hearns, Hagler, Duran, and Leonard were welterweights. And when they were fighting in the 80s, dude, when I say fighting, because some of it wasn't boxing, right?
Well, Four Kings. Yeah, no, that was
boxing was the sweet science, but they were fighting each other.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I remember watching Hagler and Hearns with my dad, and Tommy the Hitman Hearns is got hair and he's a little skinnier, and Hagler is built like a brick shithouse, bald and menacing as all get out. If you get in the ring with Hagler, you have to have cojones of steel to be like, I could take you.
Oh, 100%.
That dude was just a nasty, and I don't mean nasty cheater fighter, but he was just his punches looked like they could go through walls.
Oh, yes. Yes. He was one of those, it was like a dead blow. There was no recoil to that punch. It was going through you. It wasn't you weren't stopping that punch in any way.
Sugar Ray Leonard was a great boxer. He was a craftsman. And so he beat Hearns and he beat Hagler. But if you put those two dudes in the street without rules, you would say to yourself, there's no way Leonard is going to be able to beat Hagler. And yet, with boxing and the science behind it, he did. It's just wild when you see the difference in their technique and their aggression and their plan to beat the other guy. It was crazy. I remember those days like it was yesterday, dude.
Oh yeah. Oh no, that was God. It was. It really was kind of the last of the golden era. And you had some real big names too. Of course, Four Kings. You had, for whatever reason, his name's kind of been lost to history, but it's very much you can kind of tell who was watching back then. Julio Cesar Chavez.
Yeah.
That dude was fucking unrelenting. And
yes.
I'm a kid. I don't really fully understand but it's just watching. It's he would not give his opponents room to breathe. He was essentially kind of the blueprint for the Manny Pacquiao's and some of the other just kind of fast hands, just kind of it was almost like they were playing chess, just seeing several moves in advance.
Yeah.
But, he was oh no, go on.
He didn't allow you to have personal space.
Absolutely.
Right. There was no, he was always in your grill. But then you bring up guys like Hector Macho Camacho, who was fighting Julio Cesar Chavez back then.
Yes.
Felix Trinidad afterwards comes to mind as fast hands and also being able to punch through a wall.
Oh yeah.
Did I ever tell you that we met Roberto Duran when I was a kid?
No way. Where at?
Yeah. So we were living in the Bronx on Broadway in Riverdale, and there was a park across the street, and they played softball there all the time. And so one day my father's like, hey, let's go watch the softball. We could have watched it from the apartment building, by the way, but we'll go down to the park.
Just something to do, get out of the house.
Yes, get out of the house. We go down there, and there's Roberto Duran, Manos de Piedra, at this fucking street softball game, dude, and got his autograph. Yeah, it was wild.
Oh, how cool is that?
It was super dope. It was really cool. I mean, he couldn't speak a lick of English, and I couldn't speak a lick of Spanish, but I was a tiny kid. But it was just cool to get his autograph. I have no idea where that napkin is today. I'm sure it got lost in the garbage.
Oh no, I think about that. Some of the autographs I had when I was a kid, it's not even are they valuable today, whatever, but it's the stories to tell.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I guess they were special up to a point and got put in a drawer or a box somewhere. And I'm sure I could find them if I really looked, but who knows where they
I'm
are.
gonna give two fighters names, and just like yesterday in What's in Your Earbuds when we gave Oye Como Va to Joe and his face lit up because he was trying to remember Santana. I'm gonna
Yeah.
give you two boxing names, and I just want to see your face.
Okay.
First one, same era that we're talking about with the welterweights, Donnie Lalonde.
I know the name, but I'd be lying if I said I had any. The name rings a bell.
He had like flowing blonde locks. Like he was a welterweight, quasi skinny, and he fought Leonard a couple of times, and Leonard whooped his ass.
Okay, that's where I know him from, is from fighting Leonard for sure. Yeah.
And here's the second one, Jerry Cooney.
Okay, yes, Jerry Cooney for sure.
The Great White Hope.
Yes.
like somehow, some way, right? If we do an investigative report today, he's tied to the mafia, right? Because there's no reason that dude should have been in a ring with back then Larry Holmes.
No.
And I think he might have been too young to fight. Tyson might have been too young to fight Jerry Cooney, but he definitely was with like Larry Holmes and that whole contingency. So maybe even like the end of Frazier, possibly beginning of Holmes.
You know, and I wonder. Yeah, it seems like there was definitely. And again, it's one of those things. I'm sure there was some kind of like organized crime element,
Had to be.
but there was definitely something else going on there. Where it's like, how did some of these fights even get approved? Is my question.
There's some commissioner at the Las Vegas Gaming Commission who's like, "Look, for 10 grand, I'll give this fight a license.
Right?
Like, just hook me up, right?"
Yeah. Exactly. I'm sure somebody had a nice envelope of cash dropped off at their mailbox.
Do you remember the movie Harlem Nights?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Right. So when the champ is fighting the Great White Hope in that movie, that's what Jerry Cooney always reminds me of. Like there had to be some police commissioner somewhere who had a bet on the fight and was like, "I'm going to make money on this."
Oh yeah. No, and like there was guys like that though, where. Like, and dudes did get messed up, but I'm surprised there weren't like more dudes like really getting, either fucking very injured or killed in the ring because they had no business going toe to toe with some of these other guys.
None whatsoever. It's like, I know people love UFC and MMA stuff today, but I because I grew up watching boxing with my dad, he taught me how to box. Like, it saddens me that boxing has lost so much luster from, I would say, from the 80s and 90s. I mean, you get into some of the Klitschko brothers and they're fighting, and that was still appealing,
Yeah.
When you have George Foreman, who's like 50 years old, getting in the ring, like, yeah, okay, next.
I think the thing is really, and I don't know, I don't think it's a very controversial take. I think what would have saved boxing as a sport that we never got was Mayweather-Pacquiao when they were both in their prime. Correct. I think that was the fight everybody wanted. And if you're a Mayweather fan, you'll say Pacquiao was ducking him. If you're a Pacquiao fan, you'll say Mayweather was ducking him. The deal is this: neither one wanted to lose to the other. And so it was almost like a gentleman's agreement that they would both kind of avoid giving the people what they wanted. And really, that was sort of boxing's undoing, I feel like.
Did you read that they are in agreement for a Mayweather-Pacquiao 2?
I did, yes. Yeah, it's the first one was only about 10 years too late. So this one's what about?
What are they going to be doing? Wheeling these dudes out on with crutches and walkers? And
I mean, I wouldn't want to get in the ring with either one of them still, but they're well past their prime at this point. Like, come on.
I mean, unless they gave me the pay-per-view for free, and even then, I don't know that I would watch it. Like, there's no way that it's going to be any good.
No. Can we get it on Netflix like the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul bullshit? That was a sparring session is what that was.
100%.
That was the stupidest thing. I swear to God.
Tyson, I think Tyson's 50 years old. I think he's about my age at this point.
Yeah.
If you gave him like 60, 90 days to get in shape and like he would have it would have been like, remember Rock'em Sock'em Robots?
Sure.
Punch the chin and the thing. That would have been Jake Paul. Look at what just happened with him in this other fight. Like, I mean, with Tyson, not a chance.
No, absolutely not. And but I mean, I'm assuming Tyson might have needed a little money or something like that, especially considering his Super Bowl commercial afterwards. It's like, bro, like you're doing
Bro,
anything for a paycheck these days, I
yeah.
guess. But
Like,
I can't. I don't know his life. I can't judge.
all right. So we could have the argument of all arguments, and maybe we do this in all of sports. Um, Ali Tyson.
I've thought about this many times. I still think about it from time to time. If we're talking both in their prime,
Yes, both in their primes.
I'm probably going Tyson, and my reasoning is this. Tyson was essentially bigger, stronger, faster Joe Frazier, and Joe Frazier took one of three from Tyson from Ali, excuse me.
Yeah.
Ali still won the war, but Joe Frazier was very capable of winning any one of those battles. Yeah. So Tyson was a brawler. Tyson was bigger. He was an inside fighter. Very, very not a one-to-one copy in terms of style, but enough overlap that I kind of feel like whatever deficiencies, if you want to use that word, for that Frazier had when he stepped into the ring with Ali, Tyson would have been able to overcome just strictly from a physical standpoint.
And see, I go with Ali for the exact same reasons. Like his reach would have kept Tyson away, and his jab was his jab was not just a defensive punch to keep you away. Like it had snap behind it. And I think it kept Tyson far enough away to beat him. And I use the rationale that in his prime, Ali got clocked by Frazier multiple times. He got clocked by Foreman multiple times, and yet still won those fights. And look, I don't know if with today's thought process, if a referee allows a fight to go 14, 15 rounds, or I think 12 rounds is what they limited to today.
Yeah.
The punches that would be thrown by these guys.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Back then when Ali was in his prime, they didn't care, right? Like if your nose was on the other side of your face, they were like, well, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But today, I don't know that. I think a referee would stop something like that.
You'd have to, yeah, and that's the whole thing. So I mean, I guess again, that's another thing that factors into this hypothetical. Is it today's rules? Is it the kind of 80s and 90s rules that Tyson fought in? Is it the fucking 70s that Ali was fighting in? That sort of thing. So it's really tough to say. And I'm certainly, when you present the argument for Ali, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, no, because it would be, a close enough matchup that it's like, yeah, I could see the edge going to either one.
Yeah.
But that's one of those kind of great sports debates that my entire life I've kind of relitigated in my head. Yeah.
Look, you got the Lakers hat on. So LeBron, Jordan.
Oh, I hate this one. Okay. I think, and again, you're comparing eras, so it really depends. If we're playing now, LeBron. If we're playing in the 90s, Jordan, without question. Now, if it's just
Jordan with no hand checking in the day's game, he might score 70 every fucking time, dude.
That's true. That's true, actually. That's true.
Back then, I mean, the 90s was literally a fight every possession.
Well, and that's the whole thing. Absolutely. It was a more physical game, and I'm not necessarily going to be like Mr. Oh, they're so, whatever. These athletes are so soft nowadays, whatever. I do feel, though, again, in terms of basketball IQ, Jordan and LeBron are basically 1 and 1A. I don't think, either one of them would have had that much better court vision than the other or anything like that. It's one of those things where, and then if you factor Kobe into the argument too, it's a completely different thing. I think Jordan, again, was probably more of a Kobe than a LeBron in terms of Jordan could make a spot. Jordan could create his spots. Whereas LeBron is brilliant at finding his spot and taking it. He doesn't necessarily possess that whatever it is that Jordan, Kobe, there's not a whole hell of a lot of other players I can think of just off the top of my head that could just, in being triple teamed somehow just pull some fucking magic act, make a spot with the
moment you say that, I immediately think of the spin move he did on Starks and dunked over Ewing
Yes.
at the Garden, right? Like
Yes.
that is one of those plays where you're like, he's pinned in. How is he going to get out of this? He's going to have to toss it out to the 3-point line to Paxson or Scotty. And he just does this spin move, leaves Starks like if he's waving the red cape, like
yeah,
and then dunking on Ewing,
right?
Like that is crazy, dude.
No, it's insane to me, and that's the thing, that especially the second three-peat, that Bulls team. You want to talk about a super team? I say this as a Lakers fan, and we've definitely had some super teams. I don't know that there is any other team, including the 0-1 Lakers, that takes the 96 Bulls in a best-of-7 series.
It would be so hard.
It would be so hard. It would be so hard.
I will say this for LeBron. I do think LeBron could have played in the 90s because he's not fragile.
No.
Dude has got muscles on muscles. So he could stand in the paint and work. Think about this, right? When you think about muscles on muscles, like guys like Oakley come to mind, Xavier McDaniel, Anthony Mason, rest in peace. Like those guys were playing forward for the Knicks. LeBron fits right that same mold, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Body type. So I think he could have played in that era as well. And so that's why I think the argument gets almost impossible to decipher between the two, because I think they could have played in each era.
Well, you make a very good point. Yeah, no, 100%. And it is the kind of thing, obviously LeBron, I think he probably would have been slotted in as, more of a traditional power forward back in the day.
Yeah.
I certainly don't think he would have struggled, back in that era, because he's fucking, the dude is built like a linebacker, for Christ's sake.
I think he played tight end in high school, right?
I think he did. Yeah. And I mean, he probably, if football would have been his sport, he probably would have gone pro, and he would have gone to the NFL. So
you think he could have been the next Dave Winfield? Although LeBron probably can't hit a curveball, because Winfield got drafted by the NBA, the NFL, and Major League Baseball.
That's right.
I think he's the only person to ever be drafted by all three major league sports organizations.
That sounds right. I can't verify that, but I can't think of anyone else. Yeah, because it's like you think of who would be physically gifted enough to have done that, and I mean, Bo Jackson wasn't drafted in the NBA,
right? Did I ever tell you the story about me watching him when he played on the Royals against the Yankees when Deion Sanders was on the team?
No way.
Dude, it was crazy. So it's the game I went to. Bo Jackson hit 3 home runs in the game. And Deion Sanders hit an inside the park home run so first of all, the Bo Jackson home runs, 2 of them were moonshots. Like just from the crack of the bat, you knew it. There was one he hits to right field. I swear to God, it was a pop up to second base, and it just kept going. Like, it was unbelievable. Hits a home run. Now, Bo Jackson is playing center field. Deion Sanders is up, batting lefty, hits a ball to center field. Bo is running his ass off, makes a diving attempt, misses it. And the ball goes all the way to the fence. And now I'm watching one of the fastest people I've ever seen in my life running the bases at Yankee Stadium. I don't know that Deion Sanders' feet touched the ground the entire time. It was wild to see him sprinting all around the base. And he had to make a dive at home plate, and the catcher just missed. Like, it was wild, dude. Like I have I've been at some crazy ass baseball games, and that is one of the best stories I've ever can tell, because I was there.
Now, would you say that's the most legendary performance you've ever seen on both sides of the ball?
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
That's insane.
I will tell you, the most emotional one I've ever seen live was the Mets were playing the Diamondbacks in the division series. The winner, this was game 7, the winner goes to play the Braves in the NLCS. Todd Pratt comes up to bat. Todd Pratt is the backup catcher to the fucking backup catcher to the backup catcher at this point, right? Like nobody knows who Todd Pratt is. He hits a ball to center field, and the sound off the bat, I will never forget. It sounded like the bat exploded. And there's Steve Finley running back, and Steve Finley's lefty. So he reaches up, jumps at the fence, reaches up dead center field, and he comes down and he slumps onto the warning track with his back against the fence. Nobody knows shit, right? Like, nobody knows what's happening. And he looks in his glove and shakes his hand. And so Todd Pratt hits the game-winning home run. The fucking stadium goes nuts, dude, like beyond nuts. And there is an old man next to me. He's got to be in his 70s or 80s, and he's crying. And he's like, I cannot believe I've lived long enough to see the Mets make it into the NLCS again, because he was probably 70 when they won in 86, right? Like
Yeah.
this dude is old and he's crying, and it was just phenomenal. And to start this off, so I have tickets. My now ex-wife and I are driving to Queens from Westchester, so it's a little bit of a hump. We're stuck in traffic. I'm an anxious person. Like, I don't want to miss a single pitch. We're stuck in traffic, and I'm like, let's just turn around and go home. I don't like. I'll watch it at home, right? And she's like, no, just park the car. And we finally parked the car. We got into the game in like the top of the second inning, so we missed the whole first inning.
Yeah.
But me, I'm like, we'll just go to a bar or we'll go home. Like, I don't want to miss a single pitch, and I would have missed this home run, dude. Like, it's wild. That is the most emotional game I've ever been to.
No, that's fucking awesome. And that's the thing, you think back on some of these, even some in the great scheme of things, inconsequential games, but when they have these really emotional moments, it's just like, this is really cool that I like got to be here to see this. Like, come on now.
The Oakland Coliseum was all concrete upper deck, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Shea Stadium was the same way. It was like built in the same era, probably. At that game, like people are going so nuts, dude. I was in the upper deck. You could feel the upper deck moving.
Oh, nice.
How crazy it was. Yeah. Like, the whole stadium was going nuts. That was something to have been to see live. And every now and again, somebody will say, "What's the wildest game you've been to?" And I just go to YouTube. I've got it saved. I grab the link, and I'm like, "This is what I was at."
No, that's super cool. I've never really been in that kind of atmosphere. I wasn't at the game, could not get in. I just happened to be in LA for did that series? I think it went 7. When the Kings won their first Stanley Cup, and it's like it's like, let's just go down to LA Live and hang out, and you can watch it on the screens and whatever, this and that. And when they clinched the cup, like, I swear, and I mean, you live in LA, how LA Live, it was just wall to wall humanity, all on the same fucking wavelength. It was, and I mean, I enjoy hockey. I will call myself a Kings fan. I'm not like the biggest hockey fan, but you could not have not gotten swept up in that moment. It was fucking insane.
All right, so we'll stay in the best of all time versus the best of all time. We'll stay in baseball. Like, is there a pitcher versus a hitter you would love to have seen that never materialized? And I'm like, bring Bob Gibson back for all I care.
I mean, it happened, but I never saw it. I would have loved to have been there at the time, especially considering, this was probably one of the high points of the rivalry between the Dodgers and Giants. But, I mean, come on, Sandy Koufax versus Willie Mays, the best versus the best. Come on now.
I mean, oh my God, that would have been amazing to watch. I wonder if the people back then realized what they were getting.
I that's the thing. It's like, you would have no perspective. Like, how could you know?
Right.
But yeah, you had to. I mean, I've certainly seen some amazing, performances, and it's the kind of thing where it's like, oh, this is going to be the kind of thing people talk about in the future. So you had to have known you were watching something special. But I don't know that, when you're kind of in it, are you ever really able to kind of give yourself that perspective that it's like, shit, I just saw, one of the most legendary at-bats of all time, or something like that. Yeah.
What about like a Nolan Ryan against a Barry Bonds? Like Ryan in his heyday against the Barry Bonds in his heyday. Like, that would have been a hell of a matchup.
That would have.
They crossed over, but Barry Bonds wasn't Barry Bonds. I mean, look, he won MVPs when he was in Pittsburgh, but he wasn't the guy who wound up hitting 762 home runs or whatever the number is.
No. And that's, really, I mean, you could plug, there's a lot of pitchers throughout history you could plug in that I would have liked to have seen up against Barry Bonds. And I don't know, I've got some personal stories about Barry Bonds. Not the best guy from a standpoint of, being a stand-up guy, but you can't deny, and it pains me to say this as essentially a Dodger fan. I'm still a little mad at the organization, but that's where my loyalties lie. It pains me to say this, but it is criminal that Barry Bonds is not in the Hall of Fame. He was a man among boys out there, and you can talk about PEDs and you can talk about this and that and whatever. I don't care. Barry Bonds is one of the greatest baseball players of all time, and the fact that he's not in the Hall of Fame, especially considering now there are other guys who were caught up in controversy that made their way into Cooperstown. So, all of that to say, there's a lot of, just legendary pitchers from history that I would like to see versus Barry Bonds.
The thing about the Hall of Fame that I don't understand is the standard for getting in is, were you the best of your generation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if we take that path and we say that that era was tainted with PEDs, then they've all leveled up, right?
Yes.
Clemens was leveled up. Pettit was leveled up. A-Rod was all these guys were leveled up because of PEDs. Canseco, McGuire, Sosa. And yet Bonds was still better than all of them.
Yes, absolutely.
So if you're going to argue that they're the best of their generation, then argue it that they're the best of their generation. Put an asterisk on it if you want to, for all I give a shit. Balco, whatever.
Yeah.
But, talk about it. Put them in there.
Well, and here's always been my argument as far as that's concerned. Why haven't we vacated, every World Series title from, the early 90s to the mid 2000s? Yeah. Why haven't we vacated every MVP, every Cy Young, whatever this and that? If we're going to stand on business, let's stand on business here, because there's definitely a lot of people running around with World Series rings that we're juicing. There's a lot of people who took home MVP trophies, who took home Cy Youngs that we're also juicing, Bonds included. But it's like, why is the Hall of Fame where we're drawing the line here? If we're really gonna, take this moral stance, then let's go all the way.
I mean, right? So back in the day, these guys were taking greenies.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have scientific fact behind this, but I'm guessing Babe Ruth was drunk a lot of times in the game.
That's what they say.
Right? I mean, even Mantle is quoted as saying he was hungover and drunk. So if we're drawing a personality contest into this thing, then okay, so you're allowing what amounts to people who are abusing alcohol into the Hall of Fame. Where's the line get drawn at this point?
Didn't Tim Raines, didn't he admit, and this is, okay, I've got an autograph story with Tim Raines. Literally, this other thing ties into it as well, but didn't Tim Raines admit that that's why he slid head first, was so he didn't break the vials of cocaine in his pocket?
I never heard that, but it makes sense.
So, no, that's when I was a kid, I would slide head first just because I thought it looked really cool when Tim Raines did it. And then when I was a little bit older, he was playing for the A's for one season. And I managed to, go down. We were in high school. A buddy of mine and I, we'd cut school sometimes and get on BART and go to the Coliseum, so we could get there early. Back in those days, you get bleacher seats for $2 or something like that. So we go to the game. We're waiting. We're there super, super early. They let us in. We're watching batting practice, whatever. So we run down to by the dugouts because, security's not checking anyone's tickets at that point. And Tim Raines is signing autographs. Get his autograph. He drops my pen as he's going to give it back to me. I'm like, Tim, you dropped my pen. And he's like, oh, well, walked away like that. Okay, cool. But I did manage to find that autograph years and years later.
Tim Raines is a great name for Immaculate Grid, because you have the A's, the Yankees, the White Sox, and then the Expos. So if the Nationals come up,
right.
You could use him in that, because the Expos became the Nationals. He's always a good name to use in those scenarios.
For sure.
There is a woman on Instagram and Threads. Her handle is Black Girl Loves Baseball 44.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God, what a great account, dude. She gets on there. She gives you a 1 minute video or whatever, and she's got some fun stats and information, and asks great questions. I've been a baseball fan my whole life. It's the sport I love the most. But it reinvigorated me for the 26th season when I found her account a week or so ago. It's so good.
No, it's super cool. It reminds me of kind of the more old school now, but back when you'd have kind of the indie reporters who it was just kind of like a regular person hanging out at spring training or whatever that could kind of work their way into getting access to the players and stuff. And it's not, I don't want to say it's not polished in an insulting way, because it's a very great presentation, and honestly, everyone listening, follow that account. If you like baseball, you will love it. But there's something almost kind of guerrilla marketing about it that
Homey.
it's so cool.
It goes back to what we said earlier, which is like, we want to just have conversation. So like brings you in.
Exactly.
I don't need it to be polished. I don't need you to ask the right questions. I just need the information presented in a way that's enjoyable. And that's exactly what she does.
100%. 100%.
So we're coming up on an hour here, and I could do this all fucking day, dude. I mean, we could do highly questionable without a doubt. I started thinking about like, because we have this ongoing running joke between you and I, like, what Pac-10 players can we use to fill out an NFL roster?
For sure.
So I started thinking, like, what quarterback and defensive back would we want to see, like, in a game where the game's on the line and the quarterback has to throw at the defensive back space? And right away, I was like, Ronnie Lott and Tom Brady. Like Ronnie Lott and Tom Brady would be a sick ass combination. Not necessarily one-on-one, but one-on-one.
Oh no, 100%. Well, now you make an interesting point here because, boy, that would almost be like.
Well, Charles Woodson did play against Brady.
Well, that's a game we don't like to talk about as a Raiders fan, but yes, no, very very much so. That was. I don't know that I'll ever be over that, to be honest with you.
I don't know how my brain works, but so Brady went to Michigan, Charles Woodson went to Michigan. When I was growing up, Michigan and Colorado always had great football games. And so immediately I'm like, Cordell Stewart, like the original Swiss Army knife at quarterback, basically.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like watching Cordell Stewart play was amazing. And like, this is how my brain works. So I've gone from Tom Brady against Ronnie Lott to somehow Cordell Stewart.
Well, see, he's another one though. Going back to the Julio Cesar Chavez thing, it's like if you were of that era, Stewart, he was a fucking legend. And for whatever reason, he just doesn't get talked about that often anyway, except for guys in our age group. I just don't understand why his legacy wasn't more cemented, because he was that dude for quite a while.
Well, on that team, though, he gets overshadowed by Jerome Bettis.
Absolutely.
Bettis was the personality, right? The boss.
Yeah.
And so, his gregariousness is going to overshadow Cordell Stewart, hands down every time. Do you remember the play where Cordell Stewart, throws the Hail Mary and Michael Westbrook catches it and wins the game when they played at Colorado?
No, I'm going to have to look that one up.
The question I ask, and I'll have to research it now, because you probably I wonder where the hell Michael Westbrook wound up. Because back then they were playing in the Big 8, I think. So because they were like with Oklahoma and UT and all those guys.
Yes, that's right.
And Colorado's in the Big 8 back then. Like, he was great at the University of Colorado, and he made that catch in that game, Hail Mary. And I don't know that I ever heard that dude's name in the NFL. I can't recall it anyway.
Yeah, you make a good point. I don't. If he got drafted, he didn't do much. That's for sure. But yeah,
couldn't have. But yeah, it would be if we could set up a one-on-one. Right off the top of my head, I would go Tom Brady against Ronnie Lott.
No, Tom Brady against Ronnie Lott. I think that's probably going to be your.
Peyton would be good in this too.
Yes. Yeah.
Peyton would be really good at this.
Well, okay. Now I'm trying to think of like who else. And again, I'm assuming we're talking at their peak.
Yeah.
Darrelle Revis. I'm trying to think. Okay, who's the court? Because I mean, obviously, you did have Brady versus Revis. Several times every year. Oh, Dion was legit. He really was. Especially, there's somebody who I went to middle school with who I owe an apology to. When Dion played for the Niners, this kid was a little too into Dion, so he'd like try and copy his dance moves and stuff. And so, anytime I'd see this kid, I'd start busting a move like that. And if you're listening, I think his name was Andre. If you're listening, Andre, that's my bad. I hope you never gave up your dancing.
What are the I know it's not him, but you do realize like Dion and Andre Rison fought each other, right? When Andre Rison played for the Falcons and
that's
Dion
right.
was in the Niners. Like I could see like Dion, and like it would be cool if it was like Joe Montana against Dion, because Montana could always thread the needle
Montana was a surgeon out there. I was
Yes.
thinking Marino too, which
Marino too.
he's one of those that he kind of unfortunately he never won a ring or whatever this and that. But he was essentially almost like the Tim Duncan of the NFL.
Yes.
He was a little boring isn't the right word, but he made it look a little too easy to the point that it's like I don't think even at the time watching him, I don't think I had a full appreciation for how fucking skilled Dan Marino was. Like, yeah.
It didn't help. It didn't hurt that he had the Marx brothers, Mark Clayton.
Right? Yeah. Well, and okay, you talk about basketball comparisons. The problem is he played in the Niners era and then immediately rolled into the Cowboys era. He just never really had his shot to kind of step up. Like think of all the great teams that played in the Bulls era. And then you had that kind of blink and you'll miss it kind of window for a second there where the Spurs were tearing shit up the first time around. And then the Lakers step up and have the next dynasty just a few years later. So you had a lot of really great teams that just never. And Allen Iverson, he essentially is. We've had this conversation before. Football, you could say Barry Sanders, you could say Dan Marino. There's a lot of guys where you could say should have won a ring that didn't.
Yeah.
Allen Iverson is that dude for the NBA. There's others who didn't get their ring, but the one who deserved a ring the most that never got one in NBA history is Allen Iverson.
One of the reasons why I think the ring argument is such bullshit is Big Shot Bob. He's got a whole hand covered in rings, right?
What's he got? 7 rings, doesn't he?
At least.
I think so. Yeah.
Right? Like he's up there with Phil Jackson. With hands covered with rings. And yet there's not a chance on this green earth that you would put him into any conversation about not even the goodest to ever play the game.
No. Now, here's the thing. If you're talking most clutch, I might bring his name up. But,
but like
in terms of like all around. But that's the thing. It's would you rather have him or Allen Iverson on your team? Same with like Steve Kerr's got like fucking how many rings? Right. You know what I'm saying? And because he won with he was with Chicago and then was it with San Antonio?
Yes.
So he's got fucking 4 or 5 rings.
And then he's got what, 3 with the Warriors? 2?
Yeah, it's got 3 as a coach, 4 as a coach.
4 as a coach.
Yeah, shit. So but again, would you rather have Steve Kerr or Allen Iverson on your team? So that's where ring culture to me gets a little bit stupid. And going back to the whole Jordan versus LeBron debate, I will 100% admit that I will I'll give Jordan the edge over LeBron, but it ain't because of the rings. It's just, that's ridiculous to me. And, people say, oh, well, what's LeBron's record in the final 4-6 or something like that. To go to 10 finals. I don't care that you lost 6 to go to 10 finals. And that shows you're doing something right. Yeah, exactly.
You made mention of like the teams that didn't win championships. But think about the teams that did win championships in the Bulls era and Lakers era. Like nobody talks about the Houston Rockets, right? No. Nobody talks about Olajuwon and Drexel and Sampson back then. And then, what was the Pistons? Like you talk about the Pistons, but in a Bad Boys scenario. You don't really talk about them as champions. You talk about them as lame beer, clotheslining people. You don't really talk about them as the champions, even though they were.
They were. No, and that's so. Here's the thing. It's obviously I grew up in the kind of the tail end of Showtime. So that Lakers era, that was kind of my introduction to basketball. But essentially, the first like kind of sunrise sunset dynasty that you would call it that I experienced was the Pistons, and it was. Their antics always kind of overshadowed the way the game was played. And I'm not Mr. Oh, you got to play the right way, whatever this and that. But that's literally it. Even back then, it was just, bunch of dirty players. And that's kind of what their legacy is. So
had the Knicks won a championship back then? If Starks could have hit the broadside of a barn back in the day, right? Like they probably would have said the same thing because Xavier McDaniel, Oakley, Mason, Ewing. I mean, that they lined up an offensive line with John Starks as the running back.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Well, and Oakley, here's the thing, and this could be a whole other debate. Oakley, top 3 greatest enforcer of all time, right there. And he did eventually. He won a ring when he went to the Bulls. Yeah.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah. but I think you're 100% correct. I think had the Knicks been able to kind of break through in that era, they would have essentially just been the Pistons. It would have been, the fact that they were fucking bullies would have overshadowed any sort of championship accomplishments.
I mean, like, what a look for New York City. That basketball team coached by Pat Riley with the slick back hair. Like, we talked about Mafia and Jerry Cooney fighting back earlier in the conversation. Like, he just looked like he was a Mafia Don walking into the court, dude.
I love to hate Pat Riley. I really do. Have you ever read the book Showtime?
No.
Next time I see you, I'll give you. I have multiple copies, so I'll bring you one of my copies. But it's actually really interesting. Pat Riley, he essentially invented that whole persona. He was sort of like a fucking hippie beach bum when he went to work for the Lakers. I mean, obviously he was a former player, but he was kind of just this kind of down and out whatever.
Yep.
And to his credit, he saw his opportunity. What was it? Paul Westhead was injured, and he stepped up and took what he wanted, which is very very mafia-ish. But it is wild that that's essentially kind of an invented persona, and in the end, he became one of the most legendary figures in the history of basketball.
Amazing, and like the things that he's done. I mean, with the organizations, right? One with the Lakers, took the Knicks to as close as you could get. I mean, you can't shoot for John Stark, so it's not his fault. And then with the Heat, like, it's amazing.
No, and that's the thing. I would honestly, as no disrespect to Phil Jackson as a coach, but other than maybe Jerry West, who I don't believe ever actually won a championship as a coach, he certainly did, in the front office.
Right.
I don't think there's anybody who's had success, going from coach to executive. Greg Popovich, too, of course.
Yes.
But Pat Riley's right up there as well, more so than Phil Jackson even. So
one of the things when we were talking earlier, and I don't want to drag the show on for too long, but I love talking sports and things like that because I think our personalities come out. Like the good fortune we have to have been alive during an NBA era in which we've gotten to see Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron play.
Oh, 100%.
Wild, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Wild.
Well, and think about who we saw, as we were younger, kind of coming up. And granted, it was at the tail end of their careers, but it's like I watched Kareem play. We watched Magic, Dr. J, all of them. We have literally lived in kind of the best basketball era. That's for sure.
And now we got Curry, too, right? Like,
oh, yeah.
Hands down.
Here's the deal. I know he makes his way into the GOAT conversation for some people. I don't know that I'd put him there, but again, I don't know that there was ever somebody who changed the game as drastically, as quickly as Steph Curry did. I mean, he literally, look at the run and gun offense, like, was adopted by everyone literally because of him.
And what's wild is when they finally realized that 3 points is greater than 2, right? And they started practicing shooting threes, clearly. And all of a sudden, it totally changed the way the game was played. Because you go from 90s era, basically backyard basketball, right, to what you see today where guys are taking shots from half court because they're not chucking them up. They have the skill to shoot from half court now. Yeah. It's wild to see the evolution of sports. Like, for me, right, getting to see the pitch clock, like, I know some old heads are like, oh, my God. It has revolutionized the game. Lori and I went to a Cubs game last year. First pitch to last out, 1 hour and 58 minutes.
No, it wasn't necessary. I drag Rob Manfred a lot. I don't like the guy, but that was a stroke of genius right there. It really did. It was the shot in the arm that the game needed. I wasn't fully on board at first, but once it was implemented, it's like, oh, not only is this not bad, it's actually an improvement. So yeah for sure.
It totally changed the game. And I find it much more enjoyable because here's the other thing. The broadcasters, they have to tell better stories now because they have less time to tell them in.
100%.
And so the game is even like the broadcast of the game is even more entertaining now.
Oh, 100%. And I think that is kind of the thing is you still have the sort of legendary broadcasters. Certain teams do. I like Joe Davis well enough. He's no Vin Scully, but who is? I personally don't like Kruk and Kipe over in San Francisco just because they're very big homers. But I'm not going to say they're not good at what they do.
Right.
I would put them in that legendary category. But it is the kind of thing where we were past the days of the Vin Scullys and the Harry Careys and whoever else who were storytellers.
Even like Tim McCarver for the Mets way back in the day too.
Yes.
Like him and Ralph Kiner was a great booth.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Ray Fosse in Oakland, I really liked him.
Jack Buck. Joe Buck, not Jack Buck.
Oh, wait. Well, yeah.
Jack Buck with the Cardinals, the dad.
Yeah, the dad for sure. Yeah. He was more of a storyteller. Joe Buck.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. I think Joe Buck. It was popular to be annoyed by him, but he did things to earn that reputation too.
Yes.
He could be annoying, but he was. Oh no, go on.
Who was the guy that was with Joe Morgan on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball? John Miller.
John Miller, yeah.
John Miller and Joe Morgan. That was a great booth.
It was.
Like you could watch Sunday Night Baseball and it was musical. Those guys were so good.
And that's you don't have like it's very rare to have that anymore, and I like seeing the young people kind of step up and get to fill these roles. I like that there's more women involved now, things like that, whatever, but still very few of these teams have that magical combination anymore.
The Mets do. Like Gary, Keith, and Ron is phenomenal. I remember when we were driving to Phoenix actually during the playoffs, and Lori and I listened to all 18 innings basically of the Mariners and Blue Jays, and we were listening to the Blue Jays radio broadcast, and it was bad, dude. Like it felt like they were working so hard to not be homers. And I'm like, but you're on the radio. This is the place to be a homer. Like,
absolutely
yelling about Vladdy Guerrero Jr. and yelling about Bichette and Springer. Like, you should be yelling about these guys and telling stories of Dave Stieb and, oh my God, I was going to call him Vida Blue, but that's not his name. The guy who pitched with Steve. But anyway, like you should be telling stories of all of these guys from back in the day, George Bell and Lloyd Mosby and Jesse Barfield. Like, give me those stories. These guys were they were boring, man.
No, and that's always the. And here's the thing. This is going to be a very controversial one for sure. I always felt Bob Uecker was kind of boring like that. It's not that he didn't have the stories, but it was very much like, we get it. You tried your hand at being a comedian or whatever, this and that. And he didn't, at least to me, and I apologize to any Brewers fans out there, because I know it's different if it's your guy. So, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you sucked, whatever, this and that. He didn't. He was fine. But there was something about it was like, he's okay. But I just don't quite get the legendary status that he's given because of that. Because it's like, again, you're not a comedian.
Right. Like, call baseball games. That's what we're
Exactly.
Love it. All right, dude. I appreciate you. This was a great conversation going down sports memory lane in all sorts of ways. We went from boxing to basketball to baseball to football. And back around again in some instances to the other sports.
100%. Yeah, we covered a little bit of everything. Next time we'll have to throw a little soccer, some tennis, some golf in there. We'll get all of that. But no, this was awesome.
Yeah, this is what the whole point of this stuff should be, which is just having fun, talking. It takes us away from the stress of running and following metrics and paces and miles, and just allows us to be human beings for a moment.
1,000,000%.
Thanks, dude. I'll see you.
Of course. I'll see you later, man. Take it easy.
Oh, by the way, I got to be a good podcaster. So for those of you who managed to stick around for the whole show, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. And if you're using Spotify and YouTube, please leave us a comment so that, yes, it helps with the algorithm, but I also love seeing comments and replying to you and getting you engaged with our community. So appreciate you. And we'll see you next time on the next Fireside Chat.